Last week we left off about here with a first coat and some molds being done. We're putting on a second coat now. The molds tend to shrink just a little bit, so it's always good to put that second coat on after those molds are fully cured so that you know you're not going to have any little shadow around the outside. Also, the paint tends to settle down into those little details in the mold, and sometimes you'll see white spots from the air dry clay, so it's good to hit it up again. I'm putting a first coat of paint on the top of the piece right over all those rough spots. We're going to come back again and add a little more texture on top of this texture to make everything look like it was always like that or developed over time. I knew I wanted to add a mold to the top drawer because its big sister had a mold on the top drawer. So I just felt like doing all those frames would be a little bit of overkill. So I made some molds with some IOD molds in butterflies, dragonfly, and the acanthus mold for a little bit of flourish and flair. I carefully arrange them and then adhere them to the piece. While that dries, I come back and just as in the original piece, I paint the inside of the molds. I paint it a light color. I think the color is called Cashmere, which is a discontinued. It was a special limited release edition in the fall a couple years ago. And all those colors can be remixed in the color mixer on the Dixie Belle website. So you can know what colors to match. But for this application, I still have some of that color, so I'm just duping my original piece by using this color, and that'll be a perfect backdrop for the transfers. Now, always, always, always make sure that your not only your clay but your paint is dry really well before you attempt to put transfers on. Thanks to the grid lines on Iron Orchid Design's transfers, I can size these up to fit perfectly in the frame. Even though I'm cutting off some of the parts, you still get the impression of the piece, and it's even. And when you can't find the tool to put the transfer on, you find something else, in this case, a flathead screwdriver. Now I've added some sea spray, which is a texture additive from Dixie Belle, and it's not easy to film and hold your phone and put in sea spray at the same time. But you get the idea, and it just thickens up that paint and adds a little bit of texture. And now I'm going over all of those areas first and getting all that unevenness, and then I'll go back and randomly add some to make it all look very cohesive. Remember in the first piece, and again I'll link the video, it was on a stained wood piece. So when I applied the wax, and I was pretty aggressive with the wax, some of the wood grain came through. So I'm taking an extra step and adding some stain on top of this black finish, and then we'll expose some of that to give the same kind of look that we had in the other piece, since the owner of that piece is also the buyer of this piece. I'm just using a little bit of Dixie Belle's Voodoo Gel stain. And I also apply some of it on that mold that I did to make it look authentic, like it's actually wood instead of the molds. So I do it all over the piece once again to give it a consistent look. While that's drying, I apply a coat of midnight green paint to the sides of the drawers, as I did a lot of green on the insides of the cabinet doors on the other piece. And it always gives a nice little pop of color and a nice little surprise when somebody opens the doors and or the drawers, and they find that little surprise of color. Next, as in the inspiration piece or the original piece, I'm using Dixie Belle's black wax. So black on black, I just decide to go for that real dark, moody look, and you can see how it immediately covers up that stain, that Voodoo Gel stain in the Tobacco Road that we did. And I continue to cover the entire piece with the wax. So that gives it a nice soft sealed finish, and also it's going to allow me to pull it back a little bit to expose some of that stained area. But I also float some grunge gray wax on top of the black wax, as in the first piece. So that was so helpful for me to have that video to look back on to see exactly what I did. Sometimes I use white wax on black or any other dark color, but this gray is really nice, and it added just that right mysterious touch to this piece. I use Dixie Belle's Big Mama's Butter in Fresh and Clean on the insides of the drawers to wake up that wood grain a little bit. I also use it on the drawer glides, both inside the dresser and on the bottoms of the drawers. When I get to the drawer fronts, I use a little clear wax over the transfers to seal them in before I do anything else. And then I proceed with the black wax and the gray as I did with all of the other areas on the piece. I keep coming back in everywhere I go with a little bit more of the black paint, the anchor paint that has the thickener in it, or the sea spray. I do that to give it that grungy look all over. And you can layer, because these are all water-based paints and waxes, you can layer them. I had some gold gilding wax at the shop, but not bronze, which is what I used in the previous piece. So once again, the Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel Stain to the rescue, and I mixed some in with the gold gilding wax, and then I just used my finger to apply it to all the molds and the drawers and all the frames and all that fun stuff. I get a little bit more on that one wing than I wanted to, so I try to pick it out a little bit with my fingernail, but you know what? Sometimes things like that, like I worry too much about, and I just decide to move on. If you're interested in any of these products that I'm using, hit up my website at www.statementdesigns.org. Now it's time for me to ask that question. Do you remember how it looked before we got started? And do you remember its dupe? The one we're duping, I should say, that's the original piece that my client wanted me to copy. And here it is. Time for a commercial break. If you're a YouTuber who's also a furniture flipper and you like thrift flips, then this is your challenge. We invite you to pick up a $40 piece of furniture or less and join in the Flippin' Bunch challenge. This one's so exciting because our viewers get to vote and decide who the winner is. Videos need to be up by February 23rd. Check the description box for details. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Also, hit that Join Now button because you can get some exclusive content. Find us on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and also on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.